Welcome to Sisters Inc., our podcast for and about women business owners, brought to you by Black Enterprise. I'm your host, Elisa Gumbs. Black women are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in America, and on every episode of Sisters Inc., we'll sit down with one successful CEO and share how she slays the challenges of being a Black woman in business. Today's episode is all about pitching to retailers. We're chatting with Lori Rogers, better known as Chef Lorious, a celebrity chef and cookbook author who won a golden ticket at this year's Walmart Open call to get Jam Vino, her line of wine-infused jams, into the retailer stores in 2025. Welcome to Sisters Inc., Lori, and thanks so much for sitting down with us today.
Thank you for having me. I am so honored to be here, Lisa. Girl, I feel like I've arrived.
I love that. You absolutely have. Black Enterprise aside, you have products that are about to go on the shelf in Walmart. So you have most definitely arrived, ma'am.
Yes, it's mind-blowing. It's exciting and it's mind-blowing. And it's everything I've worked for. It's finally happening.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. But before we get into that, I'd love to get into some of your background first. Where did your passion for cooking come from?
So fundamentally, I'm a church girl. I grew up, my grandfather was a pastor. I'm originally from California. My family's from Alabama. But there were so many influences from Alabama in my life because of church and because of all of the family that had moved from Alabama to California that I really grew up in. My husband calls it Calabama. Because it's just this weird little fusion of the innovation of California with the traditions of the South. So my love for cooking came from really watching the church mothers prepare for bake sales and cook dinners and things. And my grandma would always make pies and cakes, everything. And I would say, Granny, how do you know it's done? How do you know it's ready? And she would say, taste it, baby. And so I just would learn. I love to watch them make lemon meringue pies and coconut cream pies. And so just seeing that is really where a lot of the love came from. And my father cooked. My parents are both from the same town in Alabama. It's crazy. They grew up probably 10 miles apart, but they met and married in California. And so my mom cooked as well, but my father always said that cooking is part of how you take care of people and show love. So between him and really instilling that showing love and then seeing these church mothers and being with my grandma, I was a grandma's baby all the time. It just made me love the kitchen and love to cook and love to create.
I love that. And I love any story about a granny, first of all. But taste it, baby, is going to be like my new motto. Like we get all nervous about things. And she's like, just taste it, baby.
Taste it, baby. She would be so cool. Taste it. And just put a little spoon. Want to taste it, baby. Is that right? That sounds, that ain't quite right. And it worked. I'm like, oh my gosh, she never used a thermometer. We used meat thermometer. She never used any of that. She could tell by the way it looked and it tasted.
There you go. That's granny wisdom for you. So you mentioned that your husband said your cooking is Calabama.
Yes.
And that's that mashup of your California lifestyle and your Alabama roots, which Jam Vino is a perfect example of that. How did you get the idea for Jam Vino, and how did you know that you had a sellable product on your hands?
So the idea for Jam Vino was almost accidental. It wasn't intentional. I didn't go in to say, oh, I'm going to create a product. I love grilled cheese sandwiches. I have my whole life. My children consequently also love grilled cheese sandwiches. And I've also learned that there's an art to making a grilled cheese sandwich, which I'll go into that sometime. But there's a real art to it. And I love doing it right. Okay, so I would make these little spreads to go on them because sometimes it can get a little boring and things. And so I would take blueberries or whatever berries I had around the house and some wine because I'm from California. And I would cook the two together and just cook the alcohol down and do just honestly just to make the sandwich more interesting. And so I was doing a cooking demo at Williams Sonoma. I have a cookbook that I put out, and I was doing demos to go along with it. And one of the demos, the main demo I did one day was grilled cheese sandwiches. And so I made my little wine concoction, and I would put that on the sandwiches. And I cut them in quarters, and people would taste them, and they kept asking, "I'm sorry, ma'am, what is this that you have in this sandwich? Is this in the cookbook? What do you have in the sandwich?" And I was like, that it's just a wine spread. I mean, I wasn't even realizing how big of a deal it was. And as they kept asking, then they started asking the associates, "Where can I find this jam on your shelves, et cetera, et cetera?" And eventually, after a while, my husband and I looked at each other and were like, I, I think this is a I think we got something here. And so then we went home and started being more intentional about creating and turning it into a product, and dealing with flavor pairings and like what really went well together. Because again, the California part of me is innovative and likes the wines and the different types of wines and all of that. But I still like the fruit jams and preserves, because my dad and my aunts used to make preserves every year. So it became very intentional then to say, well, let's pair these and what works well. And it was born. And then it was like, what do we call it? And then we went through this whole thing of, should we call it bougie jam? All these little fun names are coming up. And my husband said, no, let's call it jam vino. And I was like, what is that? And he's like, jam, vino, wine, hello. And I'm like, oh, that's good. That's good. And then it grew from there. So we had the three signature flavors that we've started with. And right now we've stuck with those three signature flavors. And, it's just I'm so glad to and excited to be able to share it with the world and let everybody see the goodness that is Jam Vino. Because then we started saying, well, there's more you can do with this than just make grilled cheese sandwiches. And so then I started glazing meats and making cocktails and mocktails and all kinds of other. Oh, girl, the list is endless of what you can do with some jam.
Did you see the excitement on my face? You said cocktails, and I was like, ooh.
Yes, cocktails.
Yes.
Jam cocktails.
Well, to get into your experience at Walmart Open Call, for those people listening, Open Call is a program that Walmart has been doing annually for the past decade that gives selected entrepreneurs with products that are either made, grown, or assembled here in the US the chance to pitch merchants from Walmart and Sam's Club. How did you find out about Open Call?
So there's a group that I work with, other food culinary creators who have products and things, and we found out about Open Call through that group. And you apply for Open Call. It's a very long application. It's the odds are really. I mean, this is what's such a. It's very much a God thing. It's the odds are really slim. Um, they can have 10,000 plus, 15,000 plus people apply and only invite 500 or so to headquarters and pick about 90. So it's we found out about it, and you think, oh, do I want to try? Should I not try? It requires a lot. There's a lot that you have to go to retail. Making a product at home, doing demos, doing farmers markets is one thing, but taking a product retail requires a whole nother list of things. And in order to apply, you have to have all those things really in order already. And so we found out about it through this group, and then we looked into it, and we said, okay, let's try it. Let's try it. Because some people have tried for 10 years and just got in. But we said, let's try it. The product is innovative. It is assembled. Everything about it is USA. Walmart is very much pro products from the USA. And so it made sense. We said, let's try it. What's the worst that could happen? They can say no, right? But that's how we found out about it and saw the success from it. And then started seeing the success of companies that we didn't, that are huge now, that started with an open call ticket. A golden ticket is what they call it when you get in. And there were companies that had gotten golden tickets that were like, they went through Walmart for golden tickets. That's how they got their start. And so once we started seeing the real potential there, and what could actually happen from it, then we really got convinced to say, you know what, we're gonna go for this. We're gonna try it, and we did.
So you mentioned that it's a very involved process and that, having a product at retail is very different from, selling it in local markets, that there are some things you already had to have in place. Like, what should other entrepreneurs be aware of when you talk about those things you need to have in place before you even apply?
Insurance is one. And you generally, if you're selling food, even just at a farmer's market, or even if you're just catering, you should have some level of insurance. Okay, just fundamentally put that out there. But there are requirements and levels that they want you to have, that you have to have before you can even apply. And so it's in your best interest. You need to get those things done ahead of time. Another thing is like things like co-packers. You don't think about that when you're making your product, taking it to the farmer's market. You're in your kitchen, you're making a bunch, you're going to sell it, and you're going to go out and do your thing. Well, you need to have a co-packer if you're going to go retail, and your co-packer has to be audited and they have to be certified. There's all those types of things have to happen. It also helps if you have your other certifications, like your woman certification and your minority certification, all of those things in place. Those particular things don't have to be in place, but they help you along the way. So it's all the things of making sure that, and then when you're dealing with co-packers and all of that, making sure that you understand the legal requirements for your state, because the states have different laws about producing foods. And a lot of times we overlook that and think, I got a great product, I'm just going to take it to Walmart. And then Walmart's going to ask you, like, okay, do you have a co-packer? Are you insured? What's your general liability coverage? So all these things have to come up. And those are the differences between just making a product for a farmer's market, where you can put a sticker on that says this was made in a house, home kitchen that was not inspected by the state, versus going to a commercial kitchen and doing it, or getting straight into a co-packer.
Yeah. And I believe they also want you to have some kind of e-commerce experience or have had some experience selling your products at a bit of scale. Is that correct?
Yeah, to some degree. So that's the good part though about Walmart Open Call, is you don't have to have millions of dollars of sales. You don't have to be already basically a titan in your own little world. You can just be getting started and really not have a lot of experience. And if the product is good and it works and it makes sense, then you're likely you could win. But we did have some e-commerce experience. We had done some sales on our website. Also, being on Walmart.com marketplace is really good. And a lot of people don't realize that anyone can get on marketplace. You'll have to have you'll have to be with a co-pack. I mean, you'll have to have some things done, but it is a way to kind of get started. It's not the same as being in the store, but you do want to have some experience in selling the product. Making the product, creating the product, and selling the product are two different things. And that's what you really have to realize is, I can make this product and I can make it very well, but now how do I sell it? So, and your customer is constantly changing. If you're at a farmer's market, your customer is likely your neighbor or someone who lives around you or someone who's in the area. But when you go to something like Open Call, or you go to make a pitch to a retailer, at that moment, that's your customer. And you have to know how to talk to that customer at that moment. And that's very important to understand the difference. So I think that's the biggest thing. But you don't have to have tons and tons of experience selling and being a list of stores. You don't have to have that, which is what makes Walmart's Open Call so magical, really, and which makes it capable of making your dreams come true. Is you can have a product that you've dotted all your I's and crossed all your T's, and they can say, hey, this is really good, and this needs to get to the market.
So how did you prepare for your pitch? Because as you said, speaking to a merchant from a retailer, like, that is your customer, and it is very different speaking to them than it is speaking to maybe a customer at a farmer's market or a customer at a pop-up, what was your preparation process
Yeah.
like for the pitch?
Well, there's three keys, three main things I say for any pitch that you have to know. One, you need to know your brand story. You need to know why you're doing what you're doing. And you have to be able to articulate that because that is a key to a pitch. A pitch is not just it's great by it. This is why I do it. This is why it's important to me. So that's a key to getting ready for a pitch one. The second key to getting ready for a pitch is to know your audience. Like I said, at that moment, your customer is who you're talking to. And you really need to know who your audience is. Also know who you're selling to, who buys what you are making, what need does it solve and for whom. And or as what someone I heard say, does it solve a need or does it make people happy? So which one are you? Are you solving a need or are you making people happy? Because trust, making people happy is a saleable product. Okay. And then the other thing I would say, know your unique selling proposition. What makes you different? There's I told you I'm a church girl. The Bible say there's nothing new under the sun. Okay, so effectively everything's kind of here before, but something makes your product unique. So in pitching, you need to be able to articulate what is your unique selling proposition, what is your key differentiator, what makes you different from every other jam that's out there. And then the fourth key is to listen. Listen to what the buyer is saying. Listen to what they're saying their customer wants, what it is that they're interested in, and understand yourself and your story and your product enough to pivot as needed in the meeting. Because, like I said, at that moment, creating a product and selling a product are two different things. Right now, I'm trying to sell Walmart on the idea that they need this wine infused jam in their store. So, how do I do that? Well, I got to listen to what Walmart says they want. Walmart's a discount retailer, but they're a discount retailer who's made it clear in all kinds of other ways that they want to get into more gourmet products. So I've got to hear that. And I've got to know that my buyer is looking for other gourmet products as well. So that's the main thing for preparing, I would say, for pitching is to know your audience, listen to what's being said, and know your brand story. The brand story, which is the soft side of it, where people think, oh, whatever, that sometimes is more important than the product to some degree. Why are you doing it? What caused you? Like when you said, well, how did you get to it? My passion comes from because it represents me. It represents the fusion of California and Alabama. It represents how I was raised. It represents love. It represents care. It represents all of those things. So knowing that that's my brand story, then that's also then how I'm able to present the product and how I pitch it to say then to other people, look, this is going to bring folks together. This is going to fuse together all the different places and types of places people come from, different walks of life. My product fuses them together, and how I know it fuses them together is because it fuses me together. So that's the main key to pitching, I think, is knowing your story, knowing your audience, the one in front of you, as well as who you want to sell it to, and what makes you different, and then listen.
So, as you mentioned, listening, which is so important, and I'm glad that you brought it up. Was there any feedback that you received either on your pitch or on your product that was helpful for you moving forward as an entrepreneur?
Yes, actually, understanding that um, everyone wants luxury. Everyone wants to have everyone wants how do I say it? Everyone wants that moment where they feel special. Everybody wants that. And that was one of the things that the buyers from Walmart are really care about is that they want their customers to feel special and they are trying to bring them more products to feel special. So in hearing that and in understanding that, that helped me with my pitch and my process in terms of what comes next and the next items that we're developing to know what's going to make people feel special. what's going to help them have that bit of luxury in their everyday
I
life.
love that because you started out by saying that, it was a bit of an accidental process for you. You didn't set out intentionally to make a product. You realized that you had a product on your hands. But now, for the future growth of the company, you're thinking about what additional products can I make and using the feedback that you got from this process to do that.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of it is because then you start to realize, like I said, we have three signature flavors: blackberry merlot, raspberry moscato, and strawberry blanc, which is strawberries and blueberries made with infused with Sauvignon Blanc wine. But then realizing there's lots of different wine varietals out there, and there's a list of like a top 10. And so saying, okay, so we have space to grow, because that's the other thing that we did get from the pitch is that, generally speaking, a buyer, when you're pitching to a company, they don't just want to buy one product from you. They're looking for a partner that they can grow with. So understanding then for me that they wanted to grow with me and they wanted to see this company grow and they wanted to be part of that, then got me saying, okay, so there's other wines out there. I haven't done anything with the rosé yet. I haven't done anything with, I've done some things with cabs, a little bit, but nothing that I've put out to market yet. So it really gave me a chance to understand and say, okay, so there's more I can do here. This isn't just a one shot. They're going to buy these three flavors and then we're going to move on with things. No, there's room to grow, and I got that from them where I hadn't really thought about it. I'm so focused on trying to sell these three products, but I'm selling them me. That's the brand story piece. I'm selling them me. I'm selling them my creativity. I'm selling them my ability to bring things together, my ability to pair flavors, my ability to pair and to bring together my life and to make it okay. It is okay to be a girl from California who loves collard greens and cooked with pork fat. And a lot of times we switch it up and we don't do that anymore. But no, it's okay. It is okay to love jam and homemade jam, and remember my dad and his sister fussing over the fresh preserves or the last year's preserves, and why did I get it, all their little bickering and stuff, and say, but I love a good Sauvignon Blanc. I wonder what would happen if I put these together.
Yeah. In addition to the one-on-one pitches that happen, the event also includes programming for the participating small businesses, such as mentoring and a session on supplier resources. Aside from the deal,
Mm.
which is a big deal,
Mhm. That's the
yes.
fun part.
But what else did you get out of the open call experience?
um, Relationships. Met a lot of good people who were in the same area. Everyone's not pitching food. I think the largest area is probably food because food brings us all together. It's a universal language, kind of like music. So I met a lot of other entrepreneurs who were in similar situations where they had a product that they were trying to sell and they also wanted to grow. And even since Open Call ended, we've still maintained contact. And the relationships are important because you can't do anything alone. You're not by yourself, and we're not made to do anything alone. You have to have people around that you talk to. You have to have partners. And so having the relationships to work on some collaborations. I met one lady there who has a product that is seemingly unrelated, but we talked about it, and actually there is a relationship between the two products. And she's sending me her product. I'm going to make a recipe for her, and all of a sudden it's going to help us both because then I'm going to be promoting her product and she's going to be promoting mine. That was extremely helpful. It was also helpful coming away with the relationships with your Walmart buyer. Our buyer is the person we deal with is really she's in our corner, and she's there for us and she supports us. And I was pleasantly shocked. Not that I expected anything bad, but I didn't know what to expect. But the level of support that Walmart puts behind you when you win that golden ticket is unbelievable and was unexpected. So we came away with a lot of support. We also came away with a lot of business knowledge. The first day they spend really talking to you about how to scale, how to grow, how you need to look at your business in future years, how to fund it. Those different things come up, and that's really, really helpful. They had Damon John there the first day, and he did like a 2 hour session just on business, and it was it was mind blowing. I mean, we came back saying like we need to do this because we learned more about business, and we learned about doing business with Walmart. So there's so we learned about business with Walmart, how Walmart does business, and made great connections and relationships with Walmart people and with other food culinary creators that are invaluable relationships.
As one of just 92 golden ticket winners out of more than 10,000 small businesses that applied, what is your best advice for other entrepreneurs about pitching to retailers?
Again, I would go back to those 3 or 4 points. Know your brand story, know your audience, know what makes you different, your unique selling propositions, and listen. And believe in yourself. Believe in yourself and believe in your product. Sometimes people say, I think it's good. No, believe in your product. Because you're selling it. If I don't think the jam is good, nobody's going to think the jam is good. So believe in your product and believe in yourself and do the work. Believe in the work that you've done to get there. You're there because you deserve to be there. You've done what you needed to get there. Now, once you're there, all of the nerves and all of that, those voices and stuff, get that out there and knock it out the park. Walk in there and be the best you can be. Do as I say, do you. Do you. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be me. And when I'm me and you taste my jam, we're gonna have a deal.
All right, now. Thank you so much, Lori, for sharing your small business success story. Everyone out there, please take a look at her websites, cheflorious.com. That's chef, Lorious.com, and also jamvino.com. You can also follow her on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram at Chef Lorious. Check out the podcast channel on blackenterprise.com to find Sisters Inc. and other podcasts from Black Enterprise editors, writers, and experts. Be sure to subscribe to Sisters Inc. on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, or YouTube. And if you like what you hear, show us some love by leaving a 5-star review or put a sister on by spreading the word. I'm Elisa Gums with Sisters Inc. for Black Enterprise. Thank you for listening.